Hi, Dr. Green. Welcome.
Hi, Darren. Thank you for having me.
So, can you start off just telling us a little bit about yourself and your work?
I'm Dr. Carlton E. Green. I am the Director of Diversity Training and Education in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion here at the University of Maryland, and I use he, him, and his pronouns. I'm also a licensed psychologist in the state of Maryland, and I think that that's really important given my approach to doing this work.
Excellent. Thank you. So, in your role as the Director of Training, what might sort of an average week or day look like for you?
Oh, an average week for me is probably pretty atypical. Right now, what it's looking like is a lot of consultation with faculty and staff members on the phone regarding their training requests or their educational needs with regards to diversity or inclusion. Right now, there's a lot of requests for people wanting to talk more about anti-racism, whether or not that's in the classroom or within their staff teams. I also spend some time talking to students about what it is that their student organizations might be doing or how it is that we might be able to support them in providing some training or some consciousness around racial issues or other types of social justice issues that they might be focused on. The other piece would really be around developing trainings for the campus, delivering trainings for the campus, also just attending other administrative meetings that are in need of folks bringing a diversity or an inclusion or a social justice lens to those conversations.
Absolutely. Thank you. I know that you've actually come and given OTL a training ourselves, so we've experienced firsthand what it's like to have those consciousness trainings and implicit bias trainings, which are such an asset even to staff groups, but particularly for those that are going to be educating. You did mention racism in the classroom. So what could racism in the classroom look like?
Well, when I'm talking to folks on campus, I like to use a definition of racism that is pretty simple, I think, and easily accessible for people. I use it from Dr. Kamara Jones, who is a fellow at Harvard University. She's also the past president of the American Public Health Association. And the way that she describes racism is she says, racism is a system. It's not a personal moral failing. It's not a psychiatric illness. It's a system of power, and it's a system of doing two things, of structuring opportunity and of assigning value. And it does those things based upon so-called race or the social interpretation of how people look. So in the classroom, what that really means is that faculty members might come in, or the university actually might structure opportunity in favor of a certain type of student. In this case, if we're talking about racism, it's about how opportunities are structured in favor of white students. Even if we think about how institutions were formed, the first students, the first people who were affiliated with higher education institutions were white people, white, heterosexual, cisgender, male, mostly middle class, Christian people. The goal was to educate the gentleman scholar, really the gentleman white scholar, if you will. And so when we think about how opportunities are structured, even if we think about how mentoring occurs in higher education, the research tells us that people pick other people who look like them for mentoring opportunities. And if we look at most faculty members being white people, most tenured faculty people maybe being white and male people, it's highly likely that they structure opportunity in favor of white male students. Who do you talk to about internships? Who do you talk to about extra research opportunities? Those are going to be people who look like them. The devaluing piece or the value piece really can show up in a number of different ways, but here's a really common way. In a classroom discussion, there might be students who are contributing. A Black female student might say something that nobody really picks up in the classroom or acknowledges as being important for the content. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, a white student might say the exact same thing that the Black female student, and everybody thinks that it is the next best thing since sliced bread, right? What it really points to is that favor is working in the classroom. There are people whose voices are favored, and then there are people whose voices are disfavored or just not paid attention to, right? So that's really a good way of thinking about how racism can show up. Who's been given opportunities, who's not being given opportunities, who's also being favored or who's being disfavored. Those are some of the key ways that it can show up.